Here is a look at a rather gray skyline over the city of Toronto this hour. That part of Ontario under a special weather statement from Environment Canada with upwards of 10 centimeters of snow expected to fall throughout the day. The situation even worse in parts of Quebec where residents could see up to 25 centimeters starting this evening into tomorrow. Now let's bring in David Phillips, climatologist with Environment and Climate Change Canada. Thank you for joining us today. So talk to us about the snowfall warnings we're seeing in Ontario and Quebec. What can we expect throughout the day?
Well, Lauren, the storm has sort of unfolded as it was scripted. I mean, it started snowing in Ontario already, a little bit of rain in the Niagara Peninsula because it's a little further south, and the storm a little bit more in the mild air. And then we have warnings out for eastern Ontario, like Ottawa, places like Belleville, and generally the Ottawa Valley tends to be maybe 10 to 20 centimeters of snow. In most of Ontario, though, it's 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, mostly an all-day thing. It's going to be, in Toronto, we start turning to flurries by, say, the supper hour, and then just flurries off and on and into tomorrow. In Montreal, it's more significant. We have many of the areas are showing 20 centimeters, 25 centimeters, say, north of the St. Lawrence River. And Montreal might see more in the northern part of the city and less in the southern part. And but they could also see a few shots of hours of freezing rain. That's not a sure thing, but there's always a risk there because, you know, Lauren, the temperatures are hovering around the freezing mark, and that makes it kind of tricky. You know, a 1 degree above could mean rain. 1 degree below could mean snow. So that is that sweet zone that gives you kind of a mixed bag. So I think most areas of Ontario will see light snow, wet snow. The other thing, too, this is the first snowfall of the season. It's not going to be memorable, but the last time it snowed in Ontario and Quebec was 7 months ago. So, you know, we're not prepared for it. You know, we never prepare before we have to. And so the snow tires aren't on. People haven't found where their brushes, their windshield washer fluid is not full up. And so, you know, we're procrastinating. We just don't do it until we have to. And so that's always a risk. And also the roads, I mean, we've been through several months of warm weather, so the ground is still warm. So when that snow falls, it's going to kind of melt. And then if the temperatures fall, as we say, down below freezing, then that could kind of freeze a little bit. So kind of tricky weather, but it won't be memorable at all. This won't be the big one for the season, but it'll be the first one, and that's always a little tougher.
I just want to point out that the images we were looking at just now were from the first snowfall in Saskatoon. Now, David, as we enter this snowy season, what should Canadians prepare for during this first snowfall?
Well, you know, I think the first one is always nature's way of telling us, and she's been fair this time. She, you know, sometimes she could dump 20 centimeters everywhere, and the first first touch of snowflake you see is a big one, a big storm. Well, that's not the case. This one is kind of just not more than just a dusting of snow, but it's an amount that you might have to shovel a little bit and brush it away from your windshield. So, but I think it's really, and this is typically, Lauren, this is the time that you would expect snow. If you said to me, well, when on average do we get a snowfall? Well, I would say around Remembrance Day in Toronto and around the 1st of November in parts of, and say, Ottawa, Quebec. So my sense, the timing is right on, but hey, we're just not used to it. So I think nature is giving us kind of a dress rehearsal of what we're going to see this winter. Winter's not going to be canceled. We're going to see more of this, and so I think people just need to get prepared for it, and I think they will. And this is the rest of Canada. You say Saskatoon's already had snow out there. We see some wild winds in parts of British Columbia today. So, you know, the seasons have changed. We're now entering the cold season, the snowy season. And Lauren, come on, we are the second coldest country in the world. We're the snowiest country in the world. So this is who we are. So we shouldn't think this is foreign or rare. This is just Canada, the great white north.
Well, I will certainly be getting out my winter jacket and winter boots later today. Thank you so much, David. That is David Phillips, climatologist with Environment and Climate Change Canada.